Language. A variety of different languages are spoken in Canada, and according to the 2006 census, English was the main language for 58.8% of the population, and French was the main language for 23.2%. Both English and French are recognized as official languages, so the laws that are being made have to be in both languages. Although New Brunswick is the only province that has both the languages as its main language. In Ontario and Manitoba, both languages are official too, but in reality only English is used. Quebec's official language is French. About 18% of the population, 6.1 million people, had another main language than English and French. Around 3.5 million people do not speak either French or English at home.
Geography. Canada is the world's second largest country by land and lives about 3 people per square kilometer. About 34 million people live in Canada, and most of the people live on the south side of the country because the north side is filled with forests, mountains, and also the Calgary Desert. In the north they have the McInnes River, which is over 422 miles long and the largest river. In southwest they have a large water system and also the Niagara Falls, which lies on the border between the USA and Canada. The capital is Ottawa, and it has 800 million inhabitants, but it's not the largest city in the country. Toronto is the provincial capital of Ontario and also known as the largest city with 5 million inhabitants. Religion. 67% of Canada's population are Christians, and it makes Christianity the largest religion in Canada. And the Catholic Church, also known the Roman Catholic Church, is not just the largest in Canada, it's the biggest in the world with more than 1.27 billion members worldwide. The second largest religion is Islam, which represents 3% of the population. Canada has no official religion because one of their most important things is religious freedom, which means that you can have any religion you want and no one can say anything about it. But even though you can choose, 23% of the population are not religious, and the majority of Canada's population thinks that the religion isn't important in their everyday life, even though they believe in God.
Economy. Canada is one of the world's wealthiest countries when it comes to economy. Canada is a little odd, considering their main income is based on logging and oil production. This is weird because logging isn't as crucial to the urban environment of today as, let's see, cement or bricks, etc. Oil is understandable because when we think of oil, we probably think of fuel, which is made to fuel cars, planes, boats, helicopters, etc. The country's GDP, gross domestic product, consists of 1.6 trillion Canadian dollars, making it the 11th place on the world's GDP list. Canada has a deficit, meaning that they are importing more goods than they are exporting, making Canada losing money on trading at the moment. Canada is also having problems with debts. Their debts are rising in a tremendous pace, making it just over 138 trillion Canadian dollars. Although Canada is in such an economical situation, they still have free meals in some schools and free healthcare in some cases. The free meals are, I think, in the states-owned, the government-owned schools, not the free schools which are privately owned. For example, Harvard or Yale in America. Free healthcare in some cases. I think if you break an arm or have a sore throat, they can put you off charge for coming into the hospital, getting help.
Culture. In Canada, there are a variety of different authors, and some of the most known are Alice Munro, Michael Ondaatje, and Margaret Atwood. Alice Munro was born in October 1931 in Ontario, Canada. She is an English-speaking short story writer and Nobel Prize winner. Michael Ondaatje was born in September 1943 in Colombo, and he is a Sri Lankan Canadian writer. His most famous work is the English Patient novel that was written in 1992. He won the Booker Prize. Margaret Atwood was born in November 1939 in Ottawa, Ontario, and she is a Canadian writer, poet, and literary critic. She is very focused on women's situations, and she masters many different literary genres. For example, science fiction, gothic tales, or ghost stories. One of her most known books are The Edible Woman, 1969. Hockey. Ice hockey is considered Canada's national sport, and Canada is usually considered the game's home country. It has been played in an organized form in Canada since the end of the 1800s, and it has a women's team and men's team. Both of the two hockey teams has dominated earlier in World Championship and the Olympic Games, and together they won 49 times. Lots of people associate hockey with Canada. Music. Many famous artists that we know today are born in Canada. Celine Dion, Carly Rae Jepsen, Drake, Sum 41, Bryan Adams, Shawn Mendes, and Justin Bieber are some of them.
History. The native Canadians first arrived in Canada 11,000 years ago when they exiled from Asia. The first Europeans arrived 1,000 years ago when their ship was blown out of course on their way to Greenland. These Europeans tried to deliver goods to Greenland from Iceland, but they were blown off course and started to make their way to the Canadian East Coast. When they realized that they were on their way to the Canadian East Coast, they turned back to Iceland again. The first one to actually tell anyone about Canada was John Cabot, an Italian explorer working for the English government or the English king, or rather, Charles II. When he was making his second voyage on the Atlantic, he was looking for new land and new rich fishing waters. When he reached the Canadian East Coast, he found new rich fishing waters. Now you might think, what made the Europeans go up on land? Well, the Europeans discovered that the Canadian East Coast was filled with beavers. Beaver fur was actually made to make high-end hats for the rich. The first settlement, called Quebec, built by the French in 1608, was the first large settlement built in Canada. Not very soon after, the English started a company named the Hudson Bay Company in the 1670s. The Hudson Bay Company was a company based on ruining the French trading routes. The Hudson Bay is crucial to trading overseas because it's a bay leading all the ships to rich cities in the bay. When the French heard about the Hudson Bay Company, they went very mad, gathering their friends, the Indians, and started attacking the Hudson Bay Company. The attack was a defeat for the French and the Indians, and this attack started a war which lasted to 1763, with England as victors. When the English won the war, they had mercy on the French. They decided to keep French as Canada's main language, keep the French's religion, their history, and so on. And this was a really wise decision by the English, because in the 1800s, when the English started taking on American ships and taking the crew members captive and forced them to work on their ships. This made the Americans really mad, and the American Revolutionary War started. As friends to the French, the English actually worked with or fought with the French against the American. But a couple of years later, the American won the war and decided to the American decided to give all the conquered land back to the English, and they have never had any conflicts since. Neither the British, the English, nor the American.